Level 1. The Tourist. Age 19. You're 19, you're on a trip. Vegas, a casino boat, a reservation 2 hours from home. Doesn't matter. Someone hands you a cup of quarters and points you toward the slots. You put in $20. You win $40. You put the $40 in your pocket and walk away. You tell your friends about it for 3 days. You tell the story like you figured something out. Like you have a feel for it. You don't know what you started. Level 2. The Hobbyist. Age 21. You're 21 now, which means it's legal, which means it's everywhere. Friday nights. Sports betting apps. A poker table at your buddy's place. With a $10 buy-in. You read a few articles. You watch YouTube breakdowns of blackjack strategy. You learn what the house edge is, and think knowing it protects you from it. You're budgeting $60 a session. You mostly stick to it. When you lose, you stop. When you win, you feel like you earned it. You tell yourself this is entertainment, a hobby, no different than buying a movie ticket, except sometimes the movie pays you back. You're not wrong yet, but you're building a framework that will quietly turn against you. The wins feel like skill. The losses feel like variance. You never examine why you need to assign meaning to both. Level 3. The Regular. Age 24. You're 24, you have a job, a lease, a rotating group of friends who are all coincidentally also into this. You're going more often now. Twice a week instead of twice a month. The $60 budget became $150 without a meeting, without a decision. It just expanded the way things do when no one's watching. You know the staff at one place by name. They know your drink. There is something in that, being known, being expected, that you don't examine. You had a month where you were up $900. You remember that month clearly. You remember the exact sessions, the specific hands, the way it felt to walk out ahead. You do not remember the 8 months around it with equal clarity. You tell yourself you're a winning player who just runs bad sometimes. The math you do in your head always favors you. The math you never write down would not. Level 4. The Chaser. Age 26. You're 26. This is the level everything changes. Though you won't know that for years. You lost $400 on a Tuesday. Real money. Rent-adjacent money. You sat in your car for 22 minutes afterward with the engine off. You weren't thinking clearly. You were calculating. You went back in. You lost $300 more. You drove home and ordered food you couldn't afford and told yourself tomorrow was a reset. You believed it. That's not self-deception. Not yet. It's just optimism wearing the wrong clothes. But something installed itself that night. A loop. Lost creates urgency. Urgency demands action. Action returns you to the place that caused the loss. You start running your sessions hotter. Bigger bets. Faster decisions. You're not playing to win anymore. Not exactly. You're playing to recover. There's a difference, and it is the difference between gambling and something else. You don't have a word for what it's becoming. You'll have one later. Level 5. The Deceiver. Age 28. You're 28. You've started lying. Small lies at first. I just went for a couple hours. I broke even. You don't count the ATM withdrawal as a loss because you had cash left in your wallet. Your girlfriend asked once, directly, how much you lost last month. You told her a number. The real number was 3 times that. You didn't hesitate. The lie came out clean and confident, which scared you a little, but not enough. You have separate money now. An account she doesn't know the balance of. A Venmo history you've cleared. You think of it as privacy. It's architecture. At work, you're distracted in a specific way. Present in the meeting. Absent in your head. Running calculations that have nothing to do with the agenda. You've been passed over for one thing you deserved. You told yourself it was politics. You have $240 in savings. You had $4,100  8 months ago. You tell yourself you're in a bad run. Every gambler has bad runs. The difference between you and a problem gambler is that you'll stop when you're ready. You are not ready. Level 6. The Addict. Age 30. You're 30. The word fits now, even if you don't say it. You are not going to the casino for fun. You haven't gone for fun in 2 years. You go because not going produces a specific discomfort that only going relieves. That is the whole of it. You've borrowed $1,800 from your brother with a story about a car repair. You paid back $600 before you stopped. He hasn't said anything. His silence has a texture. You've called in sick on days you weren't sick. You've shown up to family things distracted, counting hours, calculating whether you could leave early and still have time. You left early. Your girlfriend is gone. The end wasn't dramatic. No confrontation. No ultimatum. She just got quiet and then got distance and then got out. You told yourself she didn't understand you. The more honest version is that she understood you exactly. You still believe you can stop. The belief is important. Without it, there's nothing to stand on. But you notice you've been believing it for 4 years. Level 7. The debtor. Age 32. The money problem is now a debt problem, which is a different animal. $14,000 across 3 sources. A personal loan, a credit card at 24% April. Your mother, who gave it without asking questions, which was somehow worse than if she had. You saw her face when she handed you the envelope. She had set the money aside for something else. You don't know what. You didn't ask. You've restructured your whole life around servicing debt while continuing to create it. The math doesn't work, and you know it doesn't work, and you do it anyway because stopping now feels like accepting that everything you lost is simply gone, and you cannot accept that yet. The casino is the only place where it can still be undone. You know this isn't logical, but when you're standing at the table at 1 a.m. with $300 and the genuine, unironic belief that this session is different, logic isn't the operating system. Something older is. You're not sleeping well. You're eating badly. You have a persistent tension behind your right eye that no one's diagnosed. You look fine. People keep telling you that you look fine. Level 8. The bottom. Age 34. You're 34. This is it. You missed rent. Not almost missed. Missed. Your landlord called twice. You let it go to voicemail both times and sat very still, like being quiet would change the number in your account. You lost $1,100 in 4 hours on a Saturday. You drove home and sat at your kitchen table, the one that came from your mother's house, the one you ate breakfast on as a child, and you did not move for a long time. There was nothing to calculate anymore. The loop had run out of floor. You called your brother at 11:30 p.m. He picked up. You didn't say much. He said he'd come over. He came over. He sat with you. You didn't go to the casino that week. Or the next. Not because you decided. Because something in you ran out of the energy required to keep pretending. Your hands shook in a meeting. You asked to leave early, and your manager looked at you with an expression you'll remember. Not judgment, just recognition. She'd seen it before, on someone else's face. You found a number online. He called it at 4 a.m. and man answered. He didn't sound surprised. He sounded like he'd been waiting. Tell me what's going on, he said. You did. Level 9. The recovering. Age 35. You're 35. You go to a meeting on Thursday nights in a church basement that smells like old coffee and industrial carpet cleaner. The people there are not what you expected. They're a mechanic, a former teacher, someone who ran a small business. They don't perform their damage. They just describe it plainly without decoration. You find that easier to sit with than sympathy. You've told the truth to 4 people now. Your brother, your mother, a therapist named David who doesn't say much but asks questions that take a week to answer, and yourself, which was the last and the hardest. The debt is $22,000. You have a payment plan. You look at the number every Monday morning and you don't look away. You're not okay, but you're not lying, and for now that is the more important thing. Some days the urge comes back. Not as temptation, exactly more like weather. You feel it pass through you and wait for it to leave. It leaves. You're learning that recovery isn't a level you complete. It's a practice you maintain. That distinction took time to accept. You thought finishing was the goal. The goal is continuing. Level 10. The survivor. Age 42. You're 42. The debt is gone. Paid off at 38, in a moment that felt smaller than you expected. You thought you'd feel something final. You felt tired, and then you felt okay, and then you made dinner. You have a savings account with real money in it. You check it less than you used to, which is its own kind of progress. Last year your nephew turned 21. The family went to a casino dinner buffet to celebrate. You went. You sat at the table and drank water and watched him lose $40 at roulette and laugh about it. He had that look, the one you remember, like he figured something out. You didn't say anything. It wasn't the moment. On the drive home you thought about the 19-year-old who won $40 and put it in his pocket and walked away thinking he understood something. You thought about how a Friday night becomes a habit, and a habit becomes a need, and a need becomes a decade, and a decade becomes something you carry quietly inside a regular life. You thought about your mother's kitchen table. You thought about the man who answered at 4 a.m. You're not who you were. You're also not entirely separate from him. He's just the part of the story that comes before this part. You pull into your driveway. You go inside. It starts as entertainment. It ends as the thing your life organizes itself around. The distance between those two things is not a cliff. It's a slope, gentle enough that each step feels like ground.